Today I wanted to go over the 8 passengers Google Doc that Sherry had put together, where a lot of people put links to clips of Ruby saying some crazy things about her children and the way she disciplines them. And I kind of want to just react to those, break it down, because I feel like it's important, especially with the hindsight that we have now, to take a look at these and really look for the red flags that we all knew were already there and just kind of reflect on all of this. And if you need to be updated on what exactly is going on with 8 passengers, Ruby Frank, Kevin Frank, Jodi, then make sure you watch these 2 videos that I made covering them. And I also wanted to take a look at some photos that have been released on the Daily Mail. There's been a picture released of Kevin returning back to the house, as well as pictures of the houses that have been released, such as Jodi's house and Ruby's house. Here you can see Kevin, the husband of Mormon YouTuber Ruby Frank, was spotted at the family home on Saturday. He's believed to have been kicked out of the house last year, which from everything that we've looked at, we can confirm that he did move out and wasn't living there any longer. But you can see here that he is still wearing the wedding ring, which is interesting. So maybe they were just taking time apart. Here you can see Ruby Frank's home, which looks to be like a normal home. Now, when we get to Jodi's home, it looks like it's a military base or something. Now, according to Daily Mail, Kevin could be seen removing these stickers off of their van, the 8 passengers YouTube stickers. And then here's the same van, but no sticker. And it looks like Kevin's moving back into the home that Ruby was staying in. He can be seen here walking in with a pillow and what looks to be like maybe his clothes or something. And this is Jodi's house. Jodi's home is definitely scary looking, to say the least. It looks like a place that I wouldn't want to go to, and it looks very concealed, like it's like a bunker type thing. I guess maybe this is just how the houses out there look, because you can see more in the back here. But it's a very private home that just gives you those eerie feelings. And something I didn't go over is something else that the neighbors saw. It says here, neighbors told the Daily Mail they had been concerned about the children's well-being and once saw the kids left outside pulling weeds for hours during triple-digit temperatures. I can't stand being in 87-degree heat. I can imagine a child out in the heat for hours picking weeds. That is literal torture and abuse. I just came across that when I was reading some articles, and I just wanted to add that in here. But now let's take a look at this Google Doc. Now, I've briefly went over this, but I'd like to take a deeper look into it. Now, this Google Doc has a lot of links to videos, and I will have it in the description down below if anybody would like to check it out. But let's just go down the list here and start where I haven't seen some things. Ruby on Connections talking about leaving minors alone so she can nap.
And we lived in a townhouse, and there were a lot of stairs that went up to my bedroom, and the family room was down a long flight of stairs. And I put my 2 children, my almost 6-year-old, she's probably 5, and then Chad, my 3, almost 4-year-old, on a couch. And
3, almost 4-year-old, 5, almost 6. That's very young to be left alone, right?
I put on a movie, and I said, I am going to go lay down. Do not move from your couch. You got your blanket, you've gone to the bathroom, the doors were locked and bolted, and I said, I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to lay your sister down for a nap, the baby, and I'm going to go lay down. And when I come down, I will get some lunch for everybody, or a snack, or whatever it was. So they were fed, they were full, they were emptied, and so I thought, okay, everything's good. And I made it very clear. I said, do not, under any circumstance, go into the kitchen. Do not go into the kitchen. You just stay right there and watch the movie for an hour. And I went upstairs and laid down. And an hour later, I came downstairs, and the movie was still going, and they were sitting on the couch, and they were cuddled in their blankets. I thought, oh, good. They did what they were told. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so relieved. Okay, so I went into the kitchen to start preparing some food. And as I walked on the floor, my feet went, they stuck. I'm like, my foot is stuck to the floor. And as I lifted my foot up off the floor, it went, like you could hear the stickiness. I could hear it with my ears. I thought, oh my gosh, what is on this floor? And I took another step and my foot stuck and went like it was like just sticking on the floor. And I thought, what is this? So I did what any mother would do. You know what I'm going to say, young moms? I knelt down on the floor and I smelt it, and I couldn't quite tell. And I stuck my tongue out and I licked the floor. I'm like, oh. And I licked the floor. I'm like,
what the heck? Yo, there was an unknown substance on the ground and she gets on her hands and knees and licks it. Like, what? And it's funny because she's trying to relate with people. She's like, I know mothers out there, you know what I'm about to say. Anytime there's a weird substance on the floor, you lick it. You just lick it because that's just what you do. That's what us mothers do. I don't think mothers do that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not going to just lick some random substance that's on the floor, are you? I don't think so.
This is pineapple juice. What in the world? How did pineapple juice get on the floor? And everywhere I walked, my foot stuck to the floor. And I thought, what? How? I'm trying to put the pieces together. Like, what happened? So I called my two kids and I said, come here. And they came over and I said, do you guys know why this floor is sticky? No, we don't know. And I said, this floor was absolutely clean before I went upstairs. I went upstairs for an hour and I came down and now it is covered. There is something that's going on and one of you or both of you knows something and you're not telling me. And I'm going to stand here until you do. And my son.
Do you ever notice how she's always smiling when she gets into these like power stances where she is in a position where she's telling about herself, basically being more powerful than the other person? Like, I've got control here, you don't, and this is me and I'm going to win. You're not going to win this situation. And she's like proud of how she is an authority figure over these children and taking advantage of them and abusing them.
And said, I know why it's sticky. I said, oh, and why is that? Well, I thought I cleaned it up, but I guess I didn't. Him saying this in his, 3 or 4 year old vocabulary. He showed me that in the fridge, there was a big Tupperware of pineapple with some juice in it. And he said, I went into the kitchen and I got the Tupperware of pineapple and I opened it to get some pineapple and it spilled and went everywhere. And I hurried and picked up all the pieces of pineapple. And then he showed me, he said, I got a paper towel and I cleaned up all of the mess and put the lid on and put it in the fridge. So it didn't look like there was anything wrong. Well, you as anybody older than 4 years old knows that if you have pineapple juice and you take a paper towel and you soak up the pineapple juice, you're not actually cleaning the pineapple juice. You're just making it look like there's no pineapple juice. And so I looked at him.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if everybody knows that's older than 4. I wouldn't say that. It's kind of weird how she is putting down her child too with her vocabulary here.
And here's where the compassion comes in. And I hope that you can hear it. I said, that's a good thing that you told me that what you have done, and you didn't clean it up. You didn't actually clean it up, and that was dishonest. So I'm telling him the truth. You said you would not go into the kitchen, and you did. I told you under no circumstance are you to get off the couch, and you did. And I told you I would be feeding you as soon as I come down, and you felt entitled to go take. You felt entitled to take what was in the fridge and eat it. And then you made a mess. And then you tried hiding it by lying.
Isn't the whole point of being a child to explore and make messes so you can learn? You got to be given that freedom to explore and try things for yourself to see what would happen or what happens. I can't imagine having a mom that wouldn't allow me to explore and find myself or figure out what this world is. When you're 4 years old, you don't know anything, man. When you're hungry, you just eat, you just do what your body wants you to do. You got to explore and figure things out. It really puts into perspective how controlling she is and basically didn't let her children do anything. It seems like they were constantly having to abide by these rules. And if they didn't, they would be punished aka abused. Here's another one where it says taking away Christmas from her children for not living in truth.
I'm scared to share this because...
Well, you already know this is going to be an interesting one when she starts out saying, I'm scared to share this.
Knowing people these days, I don't know if people are going to, how they're going to respond. So Kevin and I, we have we have 6 children. The 2 youngest are showing long patterns of selfishness. They have been showing, through their choices, their unwillingness to repent, their unwillingness to feel sorrow over some pretty egregious choices that they've made.
I would love to hear these choices, by the way.
So Kevin and I have decided that we are going to give the gift of truth to them this year for Christmas. We are going to give them the gift of boundaries, and we're going to give them the gift of repentance.
The gifts of truth.
So we sat down with them, and we told these 2 what our expectations were again. And we let them know how deeply sorrowful we've been because of the choices that they've been making, and how it's affected their teachers at school. It's affected their peers. It's affected our home, the siblings. And we just laid it out very clear. And we told them that this year they are not going to be visited by Santa. So they will. And
can you imagine not getting Christmas because you were being normal, a child, a kid, having fun, doing what you're supposed to do, exploring? It just, it makes me so angry. Imagine the trauma of not getting Christmas that year too. I remember when I learned, spoiler alert, by the way, that Santa Claus isn't real. And that memory stuck with me from when I was like 8 years old. And it was a little traumatic for me. I was sad. I was sad that I figured that out. Well, my brother exposed it for me. But that could possibly be a core memory for these kids, 100% not getting Christmas that year. Because stuff like that when you're a kid, it matters. It matters a lot. Especially for it being for what is probably a very small reason, them getting Christmas taken away. Because according to Ruby's standards, you could literally walk on the carpet with your shoes on and she'll take Christmas away.
We prepped them. We let them know that the Christmas morning, their 4 older siblings will be getting Christmas presents to open, and that they will have the gift of love from their dad and I, because we want them to really have a visceral experience that hits them. So up until now, I was really hoping that keeping them home from school and wiping the floorboards would really bring pain. Oh my gosh, I really want to change this behavior.
Instead of these kids going to school, she would rather them stay home and do chores. And it sounds like painful chores, like painstaking chores that she's probably going to make them do for hours.
Behavior that I've been exhibiting. And it wasn't painful for them. They're like, oh yay, we get to stay home from school and clean floorboards. This is kind of fun. It's so.
Well, I guess the pain of going to school is worse than staying home and cleaning floorboards. But I bet these kids have had to cultivate some kind of coping mechanism to deal with everything that Ruby throws at them, because there's no way they're experiencing normal things that normal children are experiencing when it comes to the punishments and chores that they're having to do. This is extreme stuff.
They've had these visceral experiences, and they haven't affected them. It's because they're so numb. And so the more numb your child is, the greater experience, the bigger the outcome. They need to wake them up. you're
Oh my God. So she's saying that the more numb your child is, the more pain you basically have to inflict on them. How scary is that?
You're not going to push a boulder with just your hands. You need some real leverage. And the biggest leverage that a little child has is probably Santa Claus. And so I expressed to them that I love your soul more than anything in this world. And I literally would do anything to invite you into repentance. And I know parents say that I would do anything for my kid, but really what I think most parents are saying is I would give anything to you if I would pay any price monetarily. I don't know how many parents are actually willing to put any boundary in place that would bring a turnaround, that would really bring repentance. So that is our gift. Our gift is a reflection of truth to our child of this is how selfish you have shown up. And it's not like once or twice. It's not 1 week. This is like months and months and months and months and months you have shown up this selfish. And so I'm going to reflect truth to you equally, which is about the equivalent of Santa not coming.
I can imagine the psychological torture those children must have felt not getting Christmas that year over a mistake that was probably so small that it doesn't even really matter. But then that's going to affect them all throughout their life. They're going to have to go to therapy and try to get over these traumas that they're going to have from this. Ruby's whole way of thinking is just like, it's hard to watch. It's just hard to watch her talk about all this stuff, because what kind of person thinks like this? You know, it's like you don't think these people exist until you see them, and then it's like, oh my God, they do exist. All right, we have one that says eating disorder advice.
She just knows she's getting a hit by not eating, and she's getting a hit by lying about it. And you are so easily fooled that you go along with it. So what you need to do is get big and say, no, I know exactly what's going on here. I will not be lied to. And then her world needs to get really, really small. I don't know if she's involved in a friend group. I don't know if she's part of you said she's not part of sports. I don't know if she's part of any extracurricular group. I don't know if she's doing after school things. I don't know what she's involved in, but you need to know more about where your daughter is. You need to know who she's around. You need to know what other influences are coming into her life. I would get her off of the smartphone, off of the phone, off of the internet, because all of those are sources that endorse and enable and encourage the lack of eating. They are sources of distortion and lust. Your daughter is being very controlling. This is a control issue. She's trying to control her identity. She's trying to control her pain. She's trying to control her who she is. She's so lost, and that would cause pain that she's doing. She just knows she's getting a hit by not eating, and she's getting a hit by lying about it. And you are
So in that video, it looks like she was addressing somebody that had a daughter that had eating issues, and her suggestion was like, basically, you need to control your daughter at all times. I don't think that's the answer to that. I'm not a doctor or anything, but you can't just control somebody. That people will rebel, and they'll want to do what they want to do, especially children, teenagers. Here's one that says Ruby talking about her kids not being allowed personal space and everything is hers.
In this home, you don't get personal space because this is my space. In this home, you don't get personal space because this is my space because I'm the parent. If you want your own personal space, you'll need to get your own space. This is mine. And as long as you're living in my home, it is my job to know.
Can you imagine a home where it doesn't even feel like home? I imagine that's what it felt like for these kids living there, scared all the time.
Know everything about you. You don't get to sneak. You don't get to hide. You don't get to have secrets. Not in my house. Do you see how loving that is? Now, if you're in distortion, you're reeling right now. If you're in distortion, you're ready to pull your hair out right now. You're ready to scream. So think about how that.
I hate how it seems like she gets energy from this, like her ego's being inflated, because maybe this is like her only source of area where she's ever felt any type of control or power or something. Or maybe it's just really just showing how evil she is. And this is just her opportunity. Saying if the boys don't stop messing around, she's going to take away their privilege to eat dinner.
Torturing him. Stop it. I know you're not, but it looks like you are. Okay, Russell. I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
I think we all know what it's like to be hungry and to be starving. It's one of the worst feelings ever. And to use it as a punishment towards your kids, that's not a good thing to be doing. Like, they were just sitting there rolling around on the floor having fun, but Ruby wouldn't even allow that. They're just being kids, doing what kids do. Talking about taking Chad's bed away.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
7 months? And look at her smiling, dude. Oh my God.
I don't think our viewers know that.
She's laughing about it. And she's like saying, I don't think our viewers know about that. Like, she's saying, shut up, quit talking about this.
Sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October.
So you're telling me he was sleeping on a beanbag for that long, and probably not even the whole time. He probably had to sleep on the floor some. What kind of parent takes the bed away? And look at her. She thinks it's funny. Ugh. Blows my mind.
And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason.
He doesn't even really know.
At least this is the reason that's in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, and he's like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walk out.
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
Oh my God.
It was not.
Wow. So these kids just being kids, doing what kids do, brothers do. And then she's threatening him again. She's going to take away his bed longer.
I think I finally found one thing that Ruby, Frankie, and I agree on. I know I'm as shocked as you are, but check out what her latest connections video just revealed.
I was a hugely disconnected, selfish, aggressive, neglectful mother. Entitled.
And it's funny because she still is. The title to this one says just because her daughter didn't want to get out of bed.
One of the fastest ways to stop enabling it is to kick her out, because then you don't have to deal with it at all. She can go be angry on the street corner. But my guess is because you're so enabling, you wouldn't do that. But you can do that, and I would encourage you to do that. If she's got enough anger to bark and bite at you, she's not too sick. People who are really sick with cardiac issues, they don't behave like that. They start humbling like, oh my gosh, I could die. Or I may not have a place to live. I can't go to work. I've got to take care of my body, and they humble. This young woman doesn't seem too alarmed about her physiological issues. So when you say, how do I live in truth? I've just given you numerous examples of what you can do. Are you willing? Or are you going to tell me that that's not realistic? It is realistic. It's just that you're not willing to have the outcomes. You don't want her to have those outcomes because you don't want those outcomes. So I don't know what else to tell you, because anything shy of you not kicking her out of the house is not going to help this young woman, because she doesn't feel anything.
Yeah, kicking them out. That's the only way you can do this. Yep. Yeah, apparently kicking out your children is the only answer to anything. Anytime they do anything wrong, just kick them out. Just kick them out. That'll handle everything. Then you don't have to deal with them anymore because they won't be there. Sure, you won't get to love them or raise them or take care of them and have them take care of you when you get older and have them in your life. But hey, at least, you kicked them out and they'll learn their lesson. This is the dumbest advice I've ever heard. And I feel sorry for anyone that actually listened to this.
Now, I don't know if you're paying for therapy. If you're paying for therapy, I'd say I'm not paying for therapy. I don't know what 21-year-old can afford to go to therapy. So that's something else you could do. But don't go into the therapist and say, she's being mean and she needs to be nice. You sound like a 2-year-old. Don't do that. You don't get to control what she says in therapy, but you can say, I'm done paying for it. I don't know if she's being reinforced by her therapist. I don't know. I hope she's not, but she could be, because therapists across the board are quite enabling.
It's funny that she says that because she is, in a way, a therapist. She's a counselor. She's a marriage counselor. She's a parenting counselor. And so she knows. She definitely knows.
And my kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
It makes me so angry when she laughs during this. I can't stand how she is laughing about it. Ugh.
Love sounds like. When you see someone hurting, you acknowledge the hurt. If your kid came to you on fire, would you say, I'm so glad you trusted me to tell me you're on fire, but if I put out the fire, that's going to really hurt and you're going to end up with scabs anyway, so I'm just going to love you where you are right now? No, you throw them on the ground and you start rolling them. You get a blanket and you start hitting the flames, and they're going to say, you're hurting me, you're beating me, you're controlling. It's like,
I think if somebody's on fire, they're not going to say you're hurting me, you're beating me. They're going to be like, help, like, get this fire, help.
no, dear, hold still. I'm getting the fire out. That's what a loving parent does. And because nobody will do it, it looks to the world crazy. And because they've never been loved before, it looks like I'm angry. To them, it looks like I'm controlling. It looks like I'm militant. It looks like
you are.
I'm a monster.
You are.
It looks like I'm
you
mean.
are.
It looks like I'm full of hate. It looks
you
like
are.
I'm not accepting it. Because they don't know
you
what
are.
love looks like.
Okay.
Or sounds
I don't think she knows what love looks like.
This is what love sounds like. When you see someone hurting, you acknowledge the hurt.
Well, that's a big yikes.
So if you don't want to have a baby, then do not use your agency to engage in sexual contact. Now, I know that nobody talks about that anymore. Like nobody. I don't hear that from anyone, like abstinence. That used to be around when I was a kid, abstinence. But nobody says that anymore because everybody feels like they have a...
First of all, I don't think she speaks for everyone. I'm sure there are many people out there that practice this. Just because she doesn't hear about it doesn't mean that nobody's not practicing it. Like what?
Have a right to just do whatever they want. And then they have these consequences, these outcomes of STDs or pregnancy or you know, rape. And they don't want to take any responsibility for their participation in it. Now, when I say rape, what I'm talking about is you engage in a sexual relationship and then you may say, stop. And the person's like, I'm not stopping. I'm going to take what I want. I'm not talking about like someone attacks you and forces you. I'm talking about your participation. And then at some point you say, I don't want to do this anymore. And, you know, because the person you're with just says, I don't care what you want. Because that's the kind of person you've chosen to hook up with. So, Mom.
Wow, so she's saying that it's not the other person's fault that forced them on you. It's your fault for picking that person. You should have known that they were going to be like this ahead of time. And it's your fault. It's all your fault. What a horrible mindset. What a horrible way to view the world. Like, that belief is so flawed.
I have a hot tub in my backyard, and because it's in my home and it's on my property and I paid for it, it's under my jurisdiction. I have stewardship over that hot tub, and so I get to decide the types of bathing suits people wear when they're in that hot tub. I don't get to go to the city pool and decide that. I don't get to walk around and say, that's not appropriate. I don't want that swimming suit. I don't get to do that because it's public property. It's a public pool. I do get to decide what comes into my home. And I have decided there's no bikinis. And so if someone comes over with a bikini, they are invited to put on something else or to leave.
Basically, she's saying you can't be normal. If you come over to my house, you're not allowed to be normal. And by the way, I'm a control freak. So I'm going to control every aspect I can of your entire life when you're in my home. This is my home. I'll be honest, it's hard watching these. This one says Chad's unsafe bed that he slept in since he was 6 until 14.
This board is about to snap in half. So I'm just going to start over. Chad's been complaining for a while now that he doesn't feel safe on his bed, that the bed feels like it's going, he's like, Mom, every time I get on my bed, it feels like I'm going to break through the bed. And I'm like, oh, it's fine.
But if this was her bed, I guarantee she would have got that fixed ASAP. It's funny how she doesn't want to take responsibility of the kids and make their lunches or take care of them properly. But when it comes to her, she'll take care of herself and she'll do all these things for herself. But if a bed's broken and it's not her bed, she don't care. Whatever. It's not my problem. You're an independent 14-year-old. You can do it yourself. Go out, get a job. Yeah, at 14, go get a job and make enough money to buy you a new bed frame or learn how to fix it, YouTube or something. A parent is supposed to be there to teach the child how to do things. You know, you help them, you encourage them, you cheer them on, you be there as a source of love and, you know, inspiration, somebody the child can come to and ask questions. I feel like these children, they don't get any of that. Letting her 6-year-old go hungry at school and refuse to bring lunch when the teacher called and was concerned.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said, Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
I would say, what kind of mom lets their 6-year-old go hungry at school and also makes them make their own lunch to take to school? And if they forget it, then too bad. I'm not bringing you any food. I would say that, but we already know.
About a year ago, my daughter was saying her prayers. Eve, she was 6. About a year ago, my daughter was saying her prayers. Eve, she was 6 years old at the time. And she was saying her prayers, and she said the cutest thing. I thought it was so cute. And I started laughing. She said, "Dear Heavenly Father, please help me to survive." And I thought it was so cute, and it just took me off guard, and I kind of...
I hate how she thinks these things are so cute when her children are literally like praying to survive. Like, I won't lie, it was very hard to watch a lot of those videos, but that's a majority of them. And if you want to check out more, there is some more like YouTube videos they have in there as well of YouTube creators that have made a lot of content on this. They're in there as well. And some more short videos that I may have missed. The link to that is going to be in the description down below if you want to check it out. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. If you haven't yet, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about these videos that we watched today. And I will see you in the next video.